this time of year with the holidays, we parents can feel so much pressure to entertain the kids every day with something new. How do we deal with the pressure to do all the things?
We don't do all the things.
Hi, I'm Dr. Corinne from the Fisher-Price Play Lab, and this is Instructions Not Included, where I talk with other experts about all things parenting, from baby to big kid, and answer questions from real parents like you. Join us. Just a heads up, parents, we're going to be talking about some sensitive topics today related to fictional holiday characters. So if your little one is in the room with you, it's a good time to maybe put their headphones on, or you might want to join us back later. Joining me today is Dr. Jasmine, mom psychologist. Welcome back. Always great to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
We have lots of amazing questions today related to the holidays, and one is really hot, so we'll start with that. Is it okay to believe in fictional characters for the holidays? So things like Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, the Tooth Fairy.
Yes.
What's your stance on that?
Great question. I love this topic of talking about fictional characters, and the short answer is absolutely fine, right? It's totally fine to believe in fictional characters or go along with what your child believes in. And I feel like every family has their own liberty of making the decision that works best for them, that's aligned with their values and their beliefs, and ultimately what works best for them and their kids.
Mm-hmm. You know, I myself have an 8-year-old, and so I think we're approaching that time where the questions are going to start to come of, hey, Mom, is Santa real? Is the Tooth Fairy real? They start to ask all these questions. Yeah. They want to believe, but they're not sure. Mm-hmm. What advice do you have on that?
Yeah.
When should we tell them? Should we tell them?
Yes. So I believe it's a good time to tell them when they start to ask. And like you said, kids are naturally curious and they want to know the logistics, right? How does he get down the chimney?
Yes.
Right? Is he really coming in?
How many cookies can he eat?
Right. So when they start to ask questions, I think it's important to, in the back of your mind, be like, okay, I feel like this conversation is coming, which is I'm so glad we're talking about it, right? Because being prepared for these questions is important. And I think one of the things that you can fall back on is if you don't know quite the answer or what to say in that moment, just put it back on them. So if they're like, oh, is he real? Well, what do you think? That's such a good question. What do you think? And that also buys you some time as you kind of prepare your answer. But it also lets them really take a step back and think, well, what do I think about this? And if it's clear they still believe in it, then you can make that judgment call of being like, all right, yeah, we can play along with it. But if they're like, I don't know, is he real, Mom? Like, tell me, Dad, is he real? Then that's when I think it is important to come clean, because we don't want to overtly lie to our kids.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I recently read something, and I think this is in the plan for me. If they ask and they seem like they're ready to know, make them part of the magic then. Tell them the truth, but make them part of the magic. If you introduce that magic to them when they were little, there's no reason they can't be part of the magic that continues with their siblings, with their cousins, with their friends, whoever the little ones are in their lives.
Absolutely. And I think it's so important whether or not you decide to go along with the fictional characters, it's important to remember that they'll still have a magical time. Yes. Whether or not they believe in Santa, it doesn't matter, right? Kids naturally love fantasy, right? And imagination and creativity. And so they'll still have fun believing, just like they have fun pretending to be a cat during pretend play, or, love the unicorns and all of that and the dragons. It's so important to remember that this is not going to make or break it for them. I love your point of bringing them in as like the ambassadors of the magic, right? Yes. And really bringing it back to what is the spirit even all about, right? What is this all about? And it's about giving and gratitude and community, right? And coming together as a family and a community. And so those are the themes that you can bring into your home and teach to your child, whether or not they believe in Santa Claus.
So to that, a couple of questions then related to school. And so the first one is, if your child knows the truth, how do you advise them to handle that with their friends at school?
Yeah.
And on the flip side, if they don't know, how are you preparing preparing them to potentially find out from their friends at school?
Good questions. So the first one, when you have that conversation and you break it to them that, oh, no, it's fictional, Santa's fictional, I would then also have a conversation with them about how even though you know that he's fictional now, other kids may still believe in Santa Claus. And so it's important that we respect what other people believe. And this really opens a nice conversation about honoring other people's beliefs.
Absolutely.
And diversity and inclusivity, and that it's beautiful that we all believe in different things, and that it's important that we honor that for them. So if they still believe in Santa, let's not have this back and forth conversation about it. Let's honor what they believe. And if they ever have questions about Santa to you, just let them know they can ask their parent or their caregiver about that's not really your job. Is a nice way to just kind of prepare them for those conversations. And then the second question about your child's starting getting up there in age and you're like, ooh, you still believe in Santa Claus? When do I have these conversations? I think one nice way to bring it up during the holiday season is to throw it on them. Even if they don't ask, just say, hey, what do you think about Santa Claus? Do you believe he's real? I think it's perfectly fine to ask them point blank. And if they're like, yeah, he's real. Okay. But there will come a time where you will need to have that conversation. So if it feels like they're getting up there, you can prepare for that.
Sort of feel them out a little bit so that you can prepare yourself to have the conversation with them.
Yes, and prepare them as well, mentally speaking. Yeah. But there's no right age of, when you should have these conversations. It's important that we, take our own unique child into consideration in that way.
All right, so switching gears a little bit, with the holidays comes lots of gift giving and gift receiving. Yes. So we had a lot of questions come in about how to choose the right toy to gift to a child.
Yes. And the first thing I will say is the right toy is the one that fits with your budget.
Of course.
I feel like during the holiday season, there's so much pressure on us to buy the fanciest, latest toy or the most expensive or buy a bunch of toys. But just gentle reminder, your child doesn't need all that. And to make sure and check in with yourself and check in with your budget about what is realistic for you, right? And to relieve that pressure on yourself. And then outside of that, I would say one of my favorite toys as a mom and also a clinical psychologist are open-ended toys. The type of toys that really come alive when our child is playing with them. And there's so many different ways that they can play with them. And then that just helps too, because you end up keeping the toy for longer, right? So the toys like doll houses or kitchen sets, things that really just ignite their imagination and creative play are one of my favorites.
Yeah, absolutely. I think taking into consideration where your child or the child you're gifting to is kind of like where they are developmentally and where we're hoping they're going to go next would be a great place to start when deciding on a toy. So if you have a baby and you're hoping that they're going to start crawling soon, you might gift them something that's a crawl after toy, or a preschooler who's starting to engage in pretend play. Like you said, a play set would be a great gift for them.
Yes, and thinking about the skills that you want to help them foster and learn. That's a good point, too. Absolutely. And I would say, too, throw in some toys, a toy or two that you enjoy, that you feel excited about playing with.
Right.
So for me, I love arts and crafts. I always get excited about that. So I like to throw in some of those because I'm like, all right, that's a safe one that we can all have fun playing with.
Because ultimately, you're going to end up playing with it, too.
Right, exactly. What would be your safe toy?
Oh, I'm a big game person. Family game night.
Yes.
I can get down with that.
Yes, me too. That's fun.
And if you're looking for more gifts, of course, you can find lots on our Fisher Price Instagram page. All right, so this time of year with the holidays, we parents can feel so much pressure to entertain the kids every day with something new that's related to the holiday. How do we deal with the pressure to do all the things?
We don't do all the things. We try our best. I would say number one tip is prioritize your mental health, because here's the thing, the more pressure that we have, right, and the more stress that we feel, our kids are going to feel that, right? And it's going to directly like counteract the whole purpose and what we're trying to bring, right? We're trying to make this magical season for them and have fun. But if we're feeling stressed and we're trying to do all the things and keep it together, then they're going to feel that, and it's not going to have fun. And it's not going to be a fun time, right? So I would say try to prioritize your mental health first, knowing that comes first. And with that, really taking a look at, okay, what are my priority things? What are the, gatherings and the festivities that we really do need to prioritize? And then what are the things that are nice to have, like the nice to haves, that if we have space, if we have energy and time, we can get to those, or we'll save them for next year. And so kind of keeping that list clear so that you go in with a plan and get your child involved. Help them contribute to the priority list and the nice to have list, right? And then also when you look at your calendar, and it's starting to stress you out, also think about, okay, well, do we have some white space? Where's my downtime? You got to schedule that in too.
It's so stressful.
Right. And I like to, ideally, it's not always perfect, but at least try to have a buffer day after busy festivities and ideally a buffer day before. Yes. So it's not just go, 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 go. So that would be my suggestions for that. And then don't forget the reason for the season. And I know that's so cheesy to say that, right?
No, it's true.
But don't forget, the whole point is to teach our child the value of giving back and the value of being with family and friends that we care about. And so don't forget to involve them in the process, right? Involve them in picking out a gift for their sister, or their brother, or their cousin, or their friend at school, or whoever. Or involve them in making a card for grandma and grandpa, or whoever, right? Get them involved as much as you can so that they can walk away from the holiday season feeling like they were a part of it, that they gave back, that they did something meaningful for the people that they care about.
That's so true. It's such good advice. Know the meaning of the season, slow down.
Yes, as best as you can.
Yes, and just make meaning out of those moments. Yes. Making those cards, wrapping those gifts, making cookies with the kids.
Yes.
Those are going to be the memories that they cherish and that you cherish for years to come. And that's when you're going to develop those traditions that they think back on and look forward to every year.
Yeah, and that's such a good point, right? That's what they're going to remember, right? Is often the little moments where you're dancing and singing Christmas carols, right? And you're making the cookies and you're having fun, right? And so it's such a good point. Just try as best as you can. We're not going to be perfect at this, but try to remind yourself you're doing enough. You are enough. And this is a magical time for your child. And for you.
Exactly. I think it's important to remember that the holiday is for you too.
Yes.
It's supposed to be a time that brings you joy, and it's supposed to be a time that brings you a break as well.
Yes.
So make that break for yourself.
Okay, independent play.
Yeah.
Put that in there too, that you don't need to be entertaining your child 100% of the time. Absolutely. And pro tip, try to think about, what made the holidays magical for you as a child. What were your favorite things? And then pass those traditions on to your child.
What a great tip.
As best as you can.
Love it. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Jasmine. It is always a pleasure having you on the show. And for our listeners, how can they find you if they're looking for you?
Yes, well, thank you for having me. And you can find me at themomspsychologist.com or the Mom Psychologist on social media.
All right. Thank you so much. Happy holidays to you. Yes, and happy holidays to everyone from Fisher-Price.
Yes, happy holidays.
Hope you enjoyed this week's episode. If so, we'd love it if you'd hit subscribe. And if there's a specific topic or expert you'd like to see here, please comment on our last Instagram post to let us know.